U.S. maternal death rates are among the highest in the world. The United States literally has the highest maternal death rate among all high income countries. I'm going to say that again because it sounds crazy. The United States has the highest maternal death rate among all high income countries. That's the case even with declining maternal death rates in the US. In other words, it's gotten better, but we're still the worst. According to a report by the Commonwealth Fund, the US had about 22 deaths for every 100,000 live births as of 2022. Do you know how wild that number is in a developed country? This number is an outlier. The country with the second highest rate, Chile, has 14 deaths for every 100,000 births. 22 is number one, 14 is number two. So we have 50% more than 50% more than number two here in the United States. Half the nations on the list have fewer than 5 maternal deaths for every 100,000. So if you look at the list, again, we have 22 out of 100,000. Chile has 14 out of it. Most people on the list don't even have 5. And then you got Norway. Norway has 0. Why does a country with such resources, such wealth, such access, such technology continue to have moms die at such a ridiculously high rate? There are multiple reasons. One is that this nation has never gotten a handle on poverty. One of the biggest predictors of this outcome of death while giving birth is being poor, is not having access to resources. It's not just that you show up to the hospital poor, it's that you haven't had access to proper prenatal care. You haven't had access to proper treatment. You haven't had access to healthy diets. You haven't had access to a pharmacy because there's not one in your neighborhood. All of these things increase because we have such vast gaps between the have-gots and the have-nots in the United States. It's very easy for wealthy people to have strong birth rates and poor people to have awful ones, so awful that it even offsets the wealthy's numbers. That's a big part of it, but it's not just money. Race is a huge predictor of whether or not you're going to die giving birth in this country. Again, the US has 22 deaths for every 100,000. Chile at number 2 has 14. Most of the half the nations on the list had fewer than 5 deaths. I'm just establishing context here. Do you know how many Black women in the United States had? 50 per 100,000. So that's more than twice, almost 2.5 times as many as the rest of people in this country. Black women are dying more at birth, giving birth, just like Black babies are dying more at birth. There's nothing inherently sickly about Black people. There's nothing inherently unhealthy about Black mothers. Black women have been giving birth in this country forever. But this medical industry, this hospital industrial complex, they don't serve us well. Black women are the most likely to be ignored when they articulate pain. They're less likely to be given pain medicine. They're more likely to have serious conditions dismissed as something minor. They're least likely to get high quality care and culturally competent care. And the intersections of race and poverty make it so that Black mothers are so likely to not get proper prenatal treatment. They're so likely not to get proper foods and vitamins and resources. I mean, this is the problem. So if you want America, based on the numbers, this ain't my opinion. If you just based on the numbers, if you want America to have healthy and positive birthing outcomes that are consistent with our perception of ourselves as a leading nation, as a modern nation, as a civilized nation, then you got to fix the conditions for Black women. Because if Black women's numbers were to fall just into the normal range, America would go from being the worst to being right where it belongs, statistically speaking. Nobody deserves to die at birth. Nobody deserves to die giving birth. But the reality for mothers in the United States is that there is a much greater chance of that happening than there should be. There's something we can do about that. Invest in communities, invest in healthcare, invest in prenatal care. And don't limit those investments to the rich or the white, but instead make sure that they start with the most vulnerable and go from there.